Hello, this lecture is on connecting to your reader, and it follows the series that I started last time on how to improve your writing. We said that the first thing to do was to work on focus, which means don't bite off more than you can chew, narrowing the topic. The next step is to make sure that you're connecting to the reader, and now we're going to look at that in more depth this time. Okay, well, connecting to your reader means writing to and for the reader. It means writing with the reader in mind. Instead of just writing down facts or descriptions or instructions and just concentrating on the content itself, you must also concentrate on who you're writing for. Okay? You have to understand that your writing is being interpreted by someone else, and you have to write with an eye to that, as we'll soon see. And if you keep that in mind, that you're not just writing, but you're writing for someone, the writing will improve dramatically, as you can see in a few moments. First of all, to do this properly, you have to understand there's something called reader expectation. A reader reads with certain ideas in mind of what the writing is going to do and where it's going to go. When you write a sentence, the reader has already formulated certain questions or certain directions that he thinks will be answered or will be followed through in the next sentence. Okay, so in other words, the reader is already looking in a certain direction according to the sentence that he's just read. So therefore, each sentence has to connect up to the next sentence, and so on. So that, and it has to do such. It has to do that in a certain way so that readers' expectations are met, so that the reader, when he reads, is then satisfied that that very next sentence has somehow led him in the right direction, okay? And not just led on a wild goose chase all over the place, as we'll soon see. Here's an example, very simple one. Just suppose you were writing a paragraph on odd and even numbers for grade school. Okay, this has to be a simple level because obviously most people understand what odd and even numbers are. We're talking about people who have no mathematical sophistication, maybe second or third graders, and now you're writing a paragraph explaining the difference between odd and even numbers. Okay, let's say that your topic sentence is numbers can be divided into even and odd. When someone reads that sentence, they already are set up for the second sentence, doing something about answering questions about what's an even number or what's an odd number. There's some kind of expectations that you're going to continue on this topic and answer some of these questions. Okay, so readers read that sentence and they think, what are even numbers? What are odd numbers? How do they differ? Alright, now if you continued with even numbers are numbers that can be divided by 2 with no remainder, that would probably satisfy the reader's expectations because you've already started talking about how numbers can be divided into even and odd, and now you've explained at least what the even numbers are. Okay? Now, if this is an unsophisticated user, though, that really doesn't understand much about odd and even numbers, then probably the next thing in their mind would be, or it may be, well, I'd like to see an example. You know, just I understand what you're talking about, sort of, but it's always reassuring to see some type of an example. So the next sentence then would proceed like this. For example, the number 6, when divided by 2, gives 3 with no remainder. Okay, now the reader feels more reassured. Okay, now he's understood it. Things can be divided up into even and odd. He's got given a definition of what an even number is, and he's even gotten an example. Now, what do you think his expectations are now? Now that he's read that sentence, does he expect you to go on to something else, or what? Well, most probably he's now thinking in this direction. Okay, how about the odd numbers? I mean, okay, he could probably figure out on his own that odd numbers are probably numbers that, when divided by 2, do give you a remainder, but you have to spell it out. Okay, you have to say that explicitly in the next sentence. Odd numbers are numbers that have a remainder when divided by 2. Relating back to the topic sentence again. Okay, okay, that makes sense. You know, the reader already is now, his expectations has been fulfilled, and he's following your logic, and it all makes sense. But again, to make this symmetrical and to make it reassuring to the reader, you want to finish off the paragraph with yet another explanation to satisfy the reader and make sure that he's totally reassured and is positive that he understands you. So therefore, for example, 7 divided by 2 gives 3. Oops. Gives 3 with a remainder of 1. Okay? And now the reader says, now I get it. That's great. Okay? So, in other words, this is the way you build a paragraph, sentence by sentence, which is coherent, cohesive, everything fits together and satisfies the reader's expectations sentence by sentence as the reader is reading this paragraph. Okay? There's nothing, there are no wild cards here and nothing going off into some other tangent. We could say lots of things about odd and even numbers probably, and how they fit into certain parts of the number line, and get more sophistication as we go along, but we'll reserve that for later paragraphs. The first paragraph is just on the basic level of what these things are, how odd and even numbers are divided up. That's all we need to know at this point. Okay? Now, in the next video, I'm going to show you how to lose the reader. In other words, what not to do. Okay, and you can see kind of the negative image of what we've been doing here, and you'll see how bad it can get.